Powercreep is a wall that all gacha games are doomed to hit. When a game gets live service, it's tough to satisfy players without giving them a harder challenge to overcome. But a large part of a gacha game's popularity is accessibility, so stronger units need to be added to eventually make the hard content easier. And thus, a game enters the vicious cycle of power creep. Another difficulty spike, another overpowered unit. And as the cycle progresses, more and more units are forgotten and deemed too weak to compete in the new meta. Limbus Company is a game. Yes, really, you can look it up. I was shocked as well. And it's also a live service gacha game on top of that. You would think that this means that Limbus also faces power creep. And you would be right. Think of the last time you saw someone use Ting Tang Hong Lu, Chroma Faust, Kurokuma Rodia, or G-Cop Gregor. You can't remember? I wouldn't blame you. All of these identities got replaced by stronger ones, leaving them out to rot. In Season 1, people were happy to get these identities, as they made their team stronger. Now, new players are only interested in the newest broken 3 stars, and I believe that's wrong. But in the face of such a powerful effect, Project Moon aren't able to do anything, right? Well, no. In fact, Limbus Company might just be in the best place to overcome power creep right now. Unlike most gacha games, Limbus Company has an upgrade system that isn't solely based on making the devs money. Instead of grinding for equipment or rare upgrade materials, you only need to focus on 2 stats: level and upti. Egos get stress pin instead of upti, but for simplicity's sake, I will refer to this mechanic as upti from now on. Levels are self-explanatory. You use tickets to increase an identity's level, and that improves their stats. But the saving grace for Limbus Company lies in the upti mechanic. Uptying an identity gives its abilities a buff. The size of that buff depends on the identity, but all of them get stronger in one way or another. This serves as a power spike in many cases, as it can lead to far higher power and damage values generated by an identity's skills. On release, the highest possible upti level was 3. It unlocked access to the third skill of the identity, and in certain cases also buffed skills 1 and 2. On June 20th of 2023, Upti IV was introduced into Limbus Company. It was meant to be a way to help out struggling identities, and further push the overall strength of the player in the late game. The player reception to the release of Upti IV was actually very negative. Many players saw it as a roadblock, and thought that new content released after the addition of Upti IV will require Upti IV to beat it. While this fear is understandable, I believe it was mostly founded in the experience of scammy tactics being used by other gacha game developers to create artificial difficulty spikes, and force their players to grind day and night or fork over the cash necessary to upgrade your team. After a year has passed since the release of Upti IV, I don't see any negative comments about it at all. The new content is still doable with only Upti 3 identities, and the cost of such an upgrade is no longer seen as too expensive, considering that you don't need to instantly upgrade your identities to Upti IV once you reach Kanto 4, and instead can slowly choose the best candidates for this power spike while you're playing through the newer content. But how does Upti IV help Limbus Company fight against power creep? Well, undeniably, Kanto 4 is harder than Kanto 3, and the same can be said for 5 and 6 as well. As stronger enemies get introduced, so do stronger identities that are capable of putting up a fight against the new threats. This might sound exactly like the cycle of power creep I mentioned at the start of the video, but I haven't mentioned one thing. This relationship is only true for Upti IV. By gradually increasing the power of enemies to match the power of the new Upti, Project Moon have created a way to increase the power of both sides of an encounter without breaking the difficulty curve in any way. You won't be met with a difficulty spike, as the enemies of Kanto 4 are still only on par with the strengths of Upti 3 identities. But you won't be bored either, as the enemies of Kanto 6 expect you to have a couple Upti 4s at your disposal by the time you reach this part of the game. I believe that this process can be repeated to create a cycle that will satisfy players on both sides of the skill spectrum. If Upti 5 is introduced in Kanto 7 alongside some crazy enemies, people might accuse Project Moon of creating a wall once again. But what they would fail to see is that this mechanic helps new identities keep up with the latest content at their maximum power, while also not trivializing the earlier part of the game entirely. All in all, I think that Limbus Company is in a position to become the first gacha game without major power creep, but if that position will be taken advantage of remains to be seen. It all depends on the next few cantos and the willingness of Project Moon to put their players through another two-sided power spike to keep the game interesting. And this concludes my little video about power creep in Limbus. If you enjoyed, smash that like button and subscribe to join the Was Here Before 1000 club. Thank you so much for watching till the end of the video, and I'll see you very soon. Goodbye!